this video is to cover the lesson for the week of 8/31 through 9/4. It is our lesson that is opening up today, August the 31st, reacting to your user. So what I have open right now is the teacher version or teacher side of Google Classroom. So if you look, you have an assignment scheduled to release on Thursday, but what we're focusing on is the information right here. You have reacted to your user, and then you have been assigned in a group, either group 1, 2, 3, and I also have my group 4, which is going to be used for demonstration purposes only. So what I'm going to do is I am going to switch over to the student side and pull up Google Classroom as a student. Okay, so in doing this, this is what you should see when you access Google Classroom from your side. You will see the assignment and also the group that you have been assigned to. So this is the worksheet, reacting to your user. I'm going to go ahead and click on this worksheet because I expect it to take a little while to open up. There is your worksheet. So I'm going to open the worksheet. We'll come here and we'll say open with Google Docs because we're going to need to modify it in order to put our answers in. I'm going to also come back and go ahead and open up the slide deck. But before you can get started on the assignment, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to read about your user profile. So in group 4, you may be in group 1, you may be in group 2, or you may be in group 3, but it will show up under the assignment the information you need for your group. So for demonstration purposes, we are in group 4, and this is the activity guide for the user. So if I come here, this is our demonstration purposes user profile. So what I want you to notice here, I need this to complete the assignment. That means the user profile you've been assigned based on your group. You're going to also need the slide deck, which is still pulling up. I'm sorry, this is not the slide deck, the worksheet, which is still pulling up information. Additional information will come up. It's going to take a minute for it to completely load. And then you're also going to need your Google Slides in order to complete this. I've already got Google Slides open, so rather than me opening it again and waiting for everything to populate, I'm going to simply come over to the Google Slides that I already have open and get you started on this, because what our purpose is understanding the user. Well, who is the user? For this class, the user is the end person that will use your app. So you are going to create an app, and the app is going to have users. What you've got to think of while you are creating your app is how the user thinks. So if you come here to our introduction, it'll take us into a little diagram, empathy. Put yourself in the user's shoes. So if you took coding last school year, we had the problem-solving process. If you did not take coding last school year, that's okay because you're still familiar with the problem-solving process. We have define, which is where you define the problem. Prepare is what you're going to do to try to solve the problem. Try is when you take what you prepared and you try it to see if it works. And then reflect is where you reflect back to see how well it worked, what you could do to improve, what you should change, what you should possibly not use. So reflect is exactly what it sounds like after trying, and then after you reflect, obviously you go back and try again, and then you reflect again. With empathize being in the center because you want to have empathy for the end user. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to think like a user, and if you were not in the Zoom call, then this is not going to be as effective as if you were able to attend our Zoom session. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this, and I want you to start thinking like a user. And when I say thinking like a user, I'm going to show you a set of pictures, and I want you to think, what would you, the user, prefer? So if we come here, we have A, B, C, or D. Stop and think of the four. Are you an A person, a B person, a C person, or a D person? Now that you've decided which one you are, which is your preference of pets, think about why that is your preference. Then think about the other pets and who might be their preference. So let's say, for example, you're an A person and you've decided why you're an A person. Try to think of who would be an end user that would be a D person, or a B person, or a C person. What would be similar between an A person and a D person? What might be different between an A person and a D person? You're creating a user profile based upon these pictures. So you're thinking about yourself first, and then thinking about who might fall under something besides the one that you selected. So now let's go to the backpacks. Choose A, B, C, or D based on your preference. And then think, why did you choose A, B, C, or D? Now think, who would choose something different than what you chose, and what's the reason they might do that? In our assignment, when we were doing this in the Zoom classroom, one of the things I asked them to do was choose a backpack for our principal based on what you thought our principal would select. Then we said choose one for our assistant principal. In this case, the male assistant principal. Why did you choose the book bag you selected for the principal or the assistant principal? Then we went into the car and we chose a car for ourselves. Now that you've selected your car, explain why you explain why you selected that car. So here's the thing, you're not going to document the explanation anywhere, but I want you to think in your mind why you selected the car you selected for yourself. Now select a car for me. Decide why you selected the car you selected for me. If you selected D, D would be the one I would select for myself. It meets my needs the best. Of A, B, C, or D, it's not one that I would go out and get for myself, but if that was my only four options, D is definitely of the four. So now we're going to come to design for a user. This is where you're going to need your user profile. For demonstration purposes, I was in the group that would have technically been group 4, and my user profile is Amelia, retired cashier. So Amelia, retired cashier, is she's married to David, and David was in the military, so they ended up traveling a lot, and they have settled now in Atlanta, Georgia. Amelia likes to cook, and she really likes to try out different recipes from various regions within the world. Both Amelia and David have found that they like the museums in Atlanta, and they also like trying the different foods that are available to them in Atlanta. But one of the things that they do not like about Atlanta is that it is hot and humid, because there's very similar weather in Atlanta as there is here with us in North Carolina. They have also started saving a little bit so they could begin traveling. Now, Amelia has 4 grown children and 7 grandchildren. And one of the things that she finds really hard is to live so far away from her grandchildren. So what happens is when they come to Atlanta, she likes to try to have really fun and exciting activities for them to do while they're visiting her in Georgia. But here's the thing, she's new to the area, and her grandkids range in age from 4 to 15. So obviously there's a big difference in what a 4-year-old might be interested in compared to a 15-year-old. So it's kind of hard for Amelia to come up with activities that would be whole group activities if she has all 7 grandchildren. Or with the range of ages, if she only has a few grandchildren, but one of them's 4 and another one is 10 and another one is 15, and then maybe a 14-year-old. I don't know the ages of her grandkids, but I think you understand what we're saying here. And she also needs to make sure that whatever activities she's doing is affordable for her, because keep in mind she is retired, so she is living on a retirement budget. And it comes down here to point of view. Amelia wants to find interesting activities in her area that are appropriate for a wide range of activities, and she'd like to know before leaving the house how much this activity is going to cost. So this is where we're going to come back over to our slide deck, but before we do, let's look at our assignment here. You're going to use your slide deck and Amelia's profile to complete this worksheet. So in completing this worksheet, it tells you that you're going to be presented with different products for you to react to. For each product that you're shown, you're going to analyze and rate each of the items shown to you from the point of view of the user described in the user profile. The profile we're using for example purposes is Amelia. One thing I want you to be very mindful of, because as you're going through, you're going to start thinking for yourself versus thinking for the end user. And we have to think of the end user in this class. It's easy to think of terms of what you like or don't like, is what the misconception alert says, but you should be responding based on what your user would like or not like. So you are going to have to make assumptions based on the description that you've been given. So if we look at our slide deck, our very first image is going to be waterproof boots. So what you will do is you will come back over to your worksheet and you will identify what the product is. So you notice here I am typing in waterproof boots. And I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to say that Amelia would be just okay with the waterproof boots. So to mark that, I have made the decision that I'm going to click on the image, stretch it out, and make it bigger. Then that indicates to me that she is just okay. And then I'm going to put some feedback in here as to why I feel her user would like or dislike this product. Well, since she's retired and she's in Atlanta, Georgia, I would say this product is practical and would suit her needs if she were to need waterproof boots. Because of where she lives, typo. However, because of where she lives, she doesn't really need waterproof boots. However, if she does need waterproof boots, these would be practical and budget friendly. And so now we've answered the first part about the very first product, waterproof boots. You're going to have 2 other products that you're going to evaluate based on your user. So here's the thing, your user may not have the same answer as my user because your user profile is going to be totally different than Amelia. Could they possibly have the same answer? Maybe, it depends on your user. So let's go back to our slide deck. Our next product that we're going to evaluate is this bicycle. And then the next product we're going to evaluate is chocolate cupcakes. So that would complete the top portion of our worksheet. and then we would go into product redesign. So in going to product redesign, it tells you to review the 8 chairs as your assigned user and answer the following questions. Well, let's go look at the chairs. So in our slide deck, we have 8 chairs. You're going to select one of the chairs based on your user profile, not on your choice, but your user profile. Which chair would your user prefer? Well, if we go back and look at the chairs again, I would assume that Amelia would prefer the overstuffed couch. Do I know this for sure? No, I do not know it for sure, but if I'm thinking about her grandchildren coming, ranging in the ages of 4 to 15, number one, overstuffed would be comfortable for her, but also when the grandchildren comes, it would give them more space than the other chairs would as far as them being able to sit in and utilize while they're on their visits. So we would say oversized chair. Then it says name 2 features of the chair that your user likes. And I just told you 2 features. Number one, it would suit her purposes, but it would also give sitting space for her grandkids. And then it's going to go into step 3, given what you've learned about your user, design a better chair in the box below. And I gave you the option to where you can draw it on paper, take a picture, and then submit that for grading. Or if your technology skills are allowed to, or strong enough that you are able to do it on the computer, you may also draw that chair. And then if you get down here to part 3, discuss. Name 2 features from your new chair, design and describe why they appeal to your user. Name 2 features from other chairs you chose not to include and explain why. And then compare the chairs within your group. What do they have in common? What's different? So here's the thing. You're going to need to work with your group member to compare and to get the answers for step 3. How do you know who's in your group? What should happen is when you go into the Google Classroom, it should identify your group members. If for some reason you have issues with this, meaning being able to identify who's in the group with you, please reach out to me and let me know. But this assignment, I've told you to allot about 2 hours to complete because there is a lot of information that you need to cover. And as a reminder, you're going to need your activity sheet, you're going to need your user profile, and you're going to need the slide deck in order to complete this. What are you submitting for grading? What you're submitting for grading is this worksheet right here once it is completed. You will also need to submit the picture of your redesigned chair. So you can take that picture and you can copy and paste it here, or you can submit it as a separate file. I'm going to leave that option up to you. And then on Thursday, we will have another assignment that's going to build on this assignment, released in Google Classroom. So please make sure you're being mindful of your time and that you begin working on it now, because it is due on Sunday, and I know Sunday is 6 days away, but after Sunday, we start marking off points for it being late. So be very mindful, please, of your time. And if you have any questions, you can reach me in email or through the email chat using your student email. All right, have fun with this.